Sir Alex Ferguson once said, don't pay attention to the league table until there's been 10 games played. And I'm going to do something I don't like doing, and that is ignoring Sir Alex, because there's only been 7 games played. Now, whilst the topic is around relegation and the relegation battle, it's more to have a discussion around the teams that I expect to be involved in a relegation battle this season, which is a good thing, having one that is not being involved in it. I don't want West Ham to be involved in it, but they're going to be. Because the Premier League's been missing one for a couple of seasons. Last season, it was boring. There was no relegation battle. There was no title race. Both things were over by February. The only thing that was left was a European race. Now, forgive me if I struggle to have much sympathy with a team that misses out in the Champions League and ends up only in the Europa League instead. The difference between reward and failure isn't the same. Title, no title, huge. Staying up, relegation, huge. Champions League, Europa League, whilst it's huge financially, I don't think it's quite the same. It doesn't quite pack the same punch, does it? Anyway, let's take a look at the league table. Now, while I'm switching screen, this is a good time. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. Drop a like on the video as well. And also get involved in the comments. If you support one of the teams that are in the relegation battle or expected to be, let me know what you think of your team's chances so far. 7 games played. And I think this is a good point because it's enough to start forming an opinion. We've seen enough games from the teams so far to start deciding what we think of each of them and what to expect. Now, a lot's going to change. And the reason I'm doing this video now is A, because it's international break, B, because I want to, and C, the fixtures between this international break and the next international break, there's some juicy ones in there in regards to the bottom part of the league table. I think in terms of Premier League, we're in for a little bit of fun over the next 4 weeks. In terms of being a West Ham fan, a Wolves fan, a Burnley fan, perhaps not so much. So let's take a look at Wolves. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Let's take a look at the fixtures so far. Now, the last couple of games have been okay. A draw away to Tottenham, where they played well, and a draw at home to Brighton, which I think they'd be disappointed by. I've seen Wolves fans complaining that they struggled to get the second goal, and then with 20 minutes on the clock, they decided to sit back and try and protect that 1-0 lead. Obviously, not good enough to do so. But the pivotal thing here for these 3 games, including the victory against Everton in the Cup, is that Pereira switched to a back 4. So maybe that will be the catalyst for change at the Molineux. Strand Larsen, who I think is a good striker, not scored in the league yet. 5 games, no goals. When we're looking at the other fixtures that they've had so far, a defeat at home to Wolves, at home to Leeds, that's the one that will have stung the most. I think that's the one that might have said, you're in trouble this season. Losing away to Newcastle, no shame in that. Losing at home to Everton, that would have been a tough one. They also beat my team in the Cup. Losing away to Bournemouth, losing at home to Wolves. Now, I watched both of those games. I thought Wolves were perhaps unlucky not to come away with at least a point. I thought they put in a bit of effort against City. I thought they were just outclassed. I thought City looked brilliant on the opening day of the season. Against Bournemouth, it was quite an even game, but the red card just completely killed things for Wolves. So, when I've watched them, I feel like they've been all right. I feel like they've been a little bit unlucky. You know, I watched the game against Tottenham as well. But you can't say they're unlucky when they've only got 2 points after 7 games, scored 5 goals and conceded 14. That is terrible. But here's the thing. Look at their fixtures. Sunderland away, Burnley at home. Then they've got Chelsea in the Cup, away to Fulham, away to Chelsea. So that's their next group of fixtures between the 2 international breaks. Wolves fans don't need me to point out that this is massive. These 2 in particular, if they don't get minimum 3 points, but you're going to be looking for 4 as a Wolves fan. You're probably going to want 6, really. But if they were to lose at the Stadium of Light and only draw against Burnley, which I think sounds realistic at this point, that would put them on 3 points after 9 games. I mean, that's... Do you come back from that? I'm not so sure. Their fixtures ain't looking too good. The teams they've played, like I said, that one against Leeds was the one that would sting the most. Wolves ain't looking too clever at the minute. Wolves fans are not too happy. Now, my team, West Ham, let me just treat everyone the same here and we'll go through the fixtures. We got beat by Arsenal and drew against Everton. And the reason we're cutting that off is because that's the games that Nuno was in charge for. He took charge 2 days before the Everton game. But the fixtures so far, and I'm going to be scraping a barrel here, and it doesn't necessarily reflect my overall opinion, but just stick with me. So we've got Sunderland, who are in the top half of the table still, I think. Chelsea, yeah, up there. Wolves in the cup, let's score that off. We beat Nottingham Forest, got beat by Spurs, who are third in the table, got beat by Crystal Palace, who are fantastic at the minute, got a point away to Everton, and we got beat by Arsenal. So the fixtures we've had, the only team we've played that are in the bottom of the table, are Sunderland still in the top half? Yeah, they are, they're nice. So the only team that we played in the bottom half of the table is Nottingham Forest, and we beat them. Now that's scraping the barrel stuff, but have a look at our fixtures. Brentford at home, Leeds away, Newcastle at home, Burnley at home. That's our fixtures between the two international breaks. These are massive games. So if I'm willing to put a line through this one against Newcastle, which I am, that leaves Brentford at home, Leeds away, Burnley at home. I think we need 7 points. I think we need 7 points from the 4 games. Anything we get against Newcastle is a Brucey bonus. We need a minimum of 7, I think. Anything less than that, 6 we might get away with. Anything less than that, and I think it just reminds us that we're bang in trouble. The one thing I will say in our favour is that we've got Nuno. I think with Potter we were going down. I don't think that's an extreme thing to suggest. The statistics would tell you he was crap. And had I seen another team, let's just say, for example, Leeds United were in a position at West Ham where they sacked Farke and went and got Nuno, I would feel, as a West Ham fan, I'd say, oh no, Leeds might be all right now. They've just gone and got a really good manager. I think we got lucky that Nuno was available and we've moved and we've got him. I think our chances of survival have increased. Do I think we're definitely going to stay up? No. But I think we've got a better chance of doing so now we've got Nuno than we did under Graham Potter. The goal difference needs fixed though. -10, the worst in the league by some distance. Only scored 6, but we conceded 16. However, I think Nuno will slow that rate of goals conceded down quite considerably as well, I think. Moving on to Burnley, another team that I would maybe class as unlucky, but I think there's more merit in suggesting that they've been unlucky. So we'll go back a couple of games. So the start of the season with a defeat away to Spurs, and I thought they looked all right in that game, Burnley. They had some chances, didn't take them. Spurs were clinical. Then they beat Sunderland, huge win for them. Just getting beat by Man U, and these are the 2 games I'm going to talk about in terms of just being unlucky. Conceded a last-minute penalty at Old Trafford and got beat. Conceded a last-minute penalty to Liverpool and got beat. I think there's a fair argument that they should have an extra couple of points on board. Now, I appreciate if my auntie had testicles, she'd be my uncle and all that. But these 2 results were down to individual errors in the very last minute of a game. Had they got those 2 points on board, things would be looking a lot better for Burnley. And it's not just points tally. They'd be looking at that saying, okay, we got beat by Spurs, but then we've won 1 and drawn these 3 in a row. The draw at home to Forest at the time looked okay, but now you look at Nottingham Forest, you might think, oh, maybe that was a missed opportunity for Burnley. But out of the cup, I would argue that's a good thing. Got smashed by Man City, and then they got beat by Villa. And I think it almost summed Burnley up a little bit. Worked hard, looked organised, but just wasn't quite good enough. And I do fear that's going to be the story of the season, that if they get relegated, you'll look at it and say, do you know what? They gave a good account of themselves. They just weren't quite good enough in terms of ability. But their next fixtures, Leeds at home, Wolves away. Difficult one at home to Arsenal, West Ham away. 3 teams in and around that relegation zone coming up out their next 4 for Burnley. Huge fixtures for Scott Parker and his players. Again, you've got to be looking, you've got to be winning the home one. That's their aim has to be to beat Leeds. And if you can avoid defeat against Wolves and West Ham, 5 points, it's probably not really enough, is it? They're probably going to have to turn one of these into a win. They've got to be aiming for 6 or 7 points as well, I think. Coming up against the best team in the league by a mile with Arsenal, I think they can put a line through that one. And I think if you are West Ham, Burnley, Wolves, given the fixtures, and obviously Leeds United, as we've discovered, are playing similar teams, you don't want to be in the bottom 3 after this group of fixtures. Because if you are, I think there's an argument that every team can say so far, let's take Burnley. We've done it with West Ham, let's take Burnley and go, well, Spurs are at the top, Sunderland are in the top half, Man U are mid-table 11th or something. Liverpool won the title. Nottingham Forest, well, we didn't get beat. We drew with them. City, yeah, whatever. Villa, they'll be up there at the end of the season. There's almost arguments that their fixtures have been tough. But I think the next international break, I don't think you can have that argument. And that applies to most teams, not just Burnley. That applies to West Ham. That applies to Wolves. Now, I think I'm going to upset a couple of fan bases here by discussing their team in a relegation battle video. But the reality is with Nottingham Forest, they've got 5 points after 7 games. Ange Postecoglou's gone in there and not won a game. We're going to have to discuss them. Because I think at this point, they're in here. And if you can... Now, say this was Aston Villa or Newcastle, I wouldn't discuss them because I'd be very confident they were start moving up the table. And when we've done the preview videos the last couple of weeks, that's what I've been saying with Newcastle and Villa, who prior to, a win against Forest and Villa beat Burnley and Fulham, they've moved up the table. But I was always confident they would. I can't say that about Nottingham Forest. I've been surprised at how poor they've been, even under Postecoglou. Now, if we take a look at their fixtures, obviously we've got the Nuno games, where our only win, West Ham's only win, came against Nuno. Brilliant. The start of the season, fine. An impressive win at home to Brentford. An impressive point away to Palace, which looked better as the season went on. That was a really bad game for them. Nuno went out, Postecoglou come in. And they got ripped apart by Arsenal, but you know what? You can put a line through that. He was only just there. You can ignore that. This was the blow, this cup game. For most teams, I'll ignore the Carabao Cup, but actually this one here is quite important. For those that didn't know, Nottingham Forest were winning 2-0. Jesus with a couple of goals before half-time. And then they conceded in the 68th minute, and they conceded an equaliser in the 93rd, and Swansea won it in the 97th minute. I think if Forest went on to win this game comfortably, say 2-0, I think that might have changed things for Postecoglou so far. They might have just got that win against Burnley, you don't know. But that was a disappointing draw. Real Betis, I thought they were fantastic in that first half against Real Betis. Let's see if this is on FOTMob, by the way. This video is not sponsored by FOTMob. I'm just a big fan of it. But look at this. Look at this. Some momentum in a game. So basically, who's playing well, right? Nottingham Forest, it's all Nottingham Forest up until half-time. Then it's all Real Betis for the remainder of the game. 2-1 at half-time to Forest, and it finished 2-2 with a late goal. 85th minute. But Forest in that first, I'm not kidding. I absolutely loved them in the first half against Real Betis. I thought it was a brilliant game. I was enjoying. I thought, wow, this is what Forest are going to do under Postecoglou. They're going to be enjoyable to watch. But they haven't produced it. Getting beat at home to Sunderland. Now, I watched that game, and the statistics would show Forest battered their goal. I mean, look at it. It's all Forest. The bit of momentum Sunderland had, they scored. All Nottingham Forest. Expected goals, 1.68. Wolves had a fantastic game of goal. 22 shots, only one big chance created, though, and Sunderland created 3. Tells the story. Now, the Sunderland keeper was rating, did they give him 9.2? Yeah, Wolves was incredible in that game. Ange would be wondering how they lost it, but they did. Then they got beaten in the Europa League. Then they got beat by Newcastle. They weren't good on Thursday night. I watched that game. They weren't good at all. If anything, there was a comedy element to it where they went 1-0 down. They got an equaliser, then conceded immediately and went 2-1 down. They were just never really in the game against Newcastle. Fixtures coming up. Chelsea, Bournemouth, Man U, and then they've got Leeds at home. Huge game. But in between that, they've got Porto and Sturm Graz. They've got the Europa League. This is tough. This is tough. They've got a manager under pressure already. Understandably so. I mean, the difficulty fixture, according to FOTMob, not me, would suggest they've got 2 really tough games in there, because when they come back after next international break, they take on Liverpool. I wouldn't be surprised if Nottingham Forest were in the bottom 3 in the next international break when we revisit this video. Things ain't looking great at the minute, are they? As for Brentford, let's have a little look. 7 points after 7 games. Now, this is where I think you want to be. I think, historically, over the last number of seasons, 35 points keeps you up. I think you've got to be aiming for 38. I think 38 is almost definite to keep you up this season. Well, at the minute, you don't need a point per game. 5th keeps you out the bottom 3. 5 points, out of 7. But Brentford are hitting the 1 point per game. That's good. Their goal difference is -3. Doesn't sound great, but it's much better than Forest, Burnley, West Ham, Wolves. Slightly better than Leeds. I wouldn't be surprised if a team got relegated on goal difference this season. So you need to have a tight defence. They've only conceded 12, but they're also scoring. They've scored in every game so far this season until they got beat 1-0 by Man City. Let's take a look at their fixtures. Next up, away to West Ham, home to Liverpool, Grimsby in the Cup, away to Palace, home to Newcastle. This is a tough run. This is a tough run for them. I think this is maybe the most difficult one so far. Well, it is, isn't it? A bit of a 6-pointer away to West Ham. But you feel if Brentford don't win that one, you're going to struggle to see where they get the win from during the 2 breaks. You would, although Liverpool are playing crap at the minute, you'd still fancy Liverpool to win that one. Palace you're going to fancy all day, every day, and then Newcastle you're going to fancy. It's not looking pleasant for Brentford in terms of their fixtures, bar the one against West Ham. Looking at the results so far, a defeat to Man City, 1-0. They were always in the game, only really carved open one big chance, which was a good save. But they only conceded one big chance. I think defensively they were all right against City. Good win against Man U, deserved it. I thought they were by far the better team. That defeat away to Fulham, I don't recall watching that game. Did I watch this game? I don't think so. Where's the 8 p.m. on a Saturday? I must have done. No, it didn't. I don't think I watched that one. Anyway, let's move on. I feel like I did though. I don't know. I should have done. Anyway, Burnley went through in pens. They're playing Grimsby. Drew with Chelsea. Last minute goal. That was good. That's a boot. That type of thing gives you a morale boost, a confidence boost. That defeat away to Sunderland was bad. That's the big one. Beating Bournemouth away in the cup was a good result for them. But you want to go follow up with a win. You want to take that confidence into your next game. They failed to do that. Beating Villa was good. Now, Villa was bad at that time, but you've got to take the most of those opportunities. There's a lot of luck in the Premier League, good and bad. So for West Ham, we played Arsenal. It was bad luck. We played them when they were absolutely powering at the top of their game. But arguably, we've got a bit of good luck. We played Nottingham Forest when things weren't great with Nuno. Brentford got a bit of luck here. They played Villa when they weren't great. But you still got to go win the game, and that's exactly what they did. You could say they got unlucky because they played Sunderland in their second home game of the season after beating West Ham 3-0. That is unlucky. Sunderland might go in a bad run of games, and that's when you want to play them. So it swings and roundabouts. The defeat away to Nottingham Forest, it's not the end of the world. Who cares? I think at that point, Forest were expected to do well under Nuno this season. First game of the season, Keith Andrews' first game. You can get over that. I just worry that this next 4 games is going to be tough for Brentford. They've had the least amount of shots in the Premier League. And I think they've got a couple of half-decent tactics under Keith Andrews, but it's quite set-piece focused as well. I do worry for them a little bit. I find myself rooting for them, though. Leeds. Yes. Right, Leeds fans. Here we go. Confession time. I thought they'd get relegated. When I did my pre-season predictions, I had Leeds to go down. And after the first few games, while the results weren't necessarily bad, a win at home to Everton, great win. Got smashed by Arsenal. I'll put that down to just a little bit of, a lot of Farke being a little bit naive. I think he went there and went toe-to-toe and got ripped apart. I watched it. They got ripped apart. But then I think it taught him a lesson. And as a manager, you can make mistakes. You will always make mistakes. That's not the problem. It's how you learn from them, how you deal with them. And I think he did it. Drew at home to Leeds. But what I'm going to talk about here, no open play goal, no open play goal, no open play goal. Away to Fulham, very unlucky, very unlucky. A very late goal, if I remember correctly, and it was an own goal. Yeah, that was just the wild one. The corner came in, sort of everyone missed it, and it just hit him. He just ducked his head, it sort of bounced off his head and went in from quite a distance as well, like 10 yards out or something. Very freak goal. Leeds were unlucky not to get anything from that game, but no open play goal. Then they've turned it on. Beat Wolves 3-1. 2 goals from open play. Their new goal scorer scoring. Stack with a fantastic free kick. Against Bournemouth, very unlucky. Last minute equaliser for Bournemouth. Against Tottenham, very unlucky. I watched them. I watched this game. Leeds got mugged off a little bit. 2 deflected goals went in, but they scored again. They're now starting to find the back of the net, which I think is important. I think I've been impressed by Farke. I wasn't convinced by him up until now. And I still need a little bit more convincing, but I've been impressed. Every game I've watched Leeds play, I think they've been the better team, if not equal, apart from this one against Arsenal. Apart from that, I was impressed. I didn't watch that one against Fulham. Didn't watch that one, but the result's impressive. Against Spurs, unlucky. Leeds are in a good place right now. Away to Burnley, home to West Ham. They'll be licking their lips. Leeds will be feeling quite confident. They'll be feeling they can get 6 points out of this. They should be. Away to Brighton, they are very inconsistent. Away to Nottingham Forest, we've just discussed them. Leeds fans will be looking at this next 4 fixtures, hoping, maybe even expecting, lots of points. You could make an argument Leeds could pick up 10 points out of those 4 games. I think for the first time, well, I say for the first time, maybe after the Bournemouth game, that was a good win. But I need that after they drew with Bournemouth, but they nearly beat Bournemouth, right? That's when I thought, do you know what? All right, Leeds might stay up. And even though they got beat, I felt like I was even more confident. Even despite the loss, I felt even more confident. Yeah, Leeds can go on and do this. This next run of fixtures is important for Leeds, but I think they're in a good place heading into them as well. If I had to do my predictions now, I wouldn't predict Leeds to lose any of those games. Win at least a couple. Leeds are doing all right. And like I said, if you look at the table, 8 points from 7, that's fine. -4 goal difference, that's fine. But they're starting to score goals. That's the most important thing for them. Now I'm going to jump up to Sunderland. And the reason being is because I think the rest of them will be all right. Fulham, Villa, Brighton, I don't expect them getting sucked into a relegation battle. Fulham are the ones that need to be a little bit careful, but I think they'll be fine. I'm willing to reevaluate if necessary. Just taking a quick look at their next fixtures, because I don't think we've mentioned them really, have we? Arsenal, Newcastle, Wolves, Everton. Maybe the next international break we'll be discussing Fulham. I think they'll be all right. Now, I think Sunderland will be all right. When I did my little pre-season thing, I had them to stay up. Can't remember where I had them. 14, 15, I don't know, somewhere in around there. And I've only seen more reasons to think they'll be fine. So why am I including them in this video? Because they're a promoted team. I want to discuss them. 11 points from 7 games is fantastic. So if they need 38 points, they've already got 29% of points required in 18% of games played. That's good. They're in a really good position. +1 goal difference, brilliant. If you can have a positive goal difference, that's a win. 3 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. They're doing good. Let's have a quick look at their fixtures. The start of the season, beating us 3-0. Disappointing loss away to Burnley. Went out to Carabao Cup. They might be a little bit disappointed. Again, I would argue that this is a good thing. Then beat Brentford, huge win. Drew away to Palace, fantastic. Again, Roos was incredible in that game. I assume he got man of match. Yeah, 8.8 rating. Just superb goalkeeper. You can see there, Palace, 14 shots, 3 big chances. Sunderland had 6, but they turned up and got a point. That's what they needed to do. They did what they had to do. This little bit here is when Sunderland keep turning up, as we discussed it in the previous game. We had a little look at how Sunderland did it against Nottingham Forest. The bit before half-time, they seemed to just spring into action. Whether it's tactical or not, I don't know. But they competed against Crystal Palace and got a point. It's a very good point as well. And then take a look at their latest fixtures. Drawing at home to Villa. They will be the team that's most disappointed by that result. Beat Forest. Lost away to Man U. And I think that's a disappointing loss. But like I said in the review video I did on Monday, in a weird way, it might be... I was talking about Crystal Palace, and I said it might be good for them that they lost, but it might take the pressure off a little bit. And one of the subscribers said, I think Sunderland might be the same, because they were getting a lot of plaudits and actually losing, whilst it's not good, it might just calm things down a little bit and take the pressure off them. And I get the point. I know it sounds wild trying to make an argument that a defeat's not a bad thing, because it feels like it is, and of course it is, but I think it does just maybe just chill things out a little bit. Looking at their next 4 fixtures, though, at home to Wolves, is it a must-win? It's a must-not-lose. I think because of Sunderland's start to the season, they can now afford to draw a couple of games where previously they might have thought, we've got to win this one. I think a draw is okay, because it's not just about putting points on board, it's about taking points off the ones you're up against. They draw that game, it's very much Wolves have missed out on 2. It's a fixture that Wolves could have won, gone, while they're already chasing Sunderland. They are currently 9 points behind Sunderland. They would remain 9 points behind Sunderland after 8 games. Away to Chelsea, be a tough game. Of course it will. That'll be a difficult one. Home to Everton will be tricky, but I think Sunderland will fancy the chances against anyone at the stadium, but perhaps not Arsenal. I think that's maybe one of the few teams they might fear. But if they can get, I don't know, a win and a draw, 4 points out of these 3 games going into that one, they'll feel okay. I think if Sunderland got 4 points from that 4 games, I think that's a decent return, and it would put them on 15 points after 11 games. That's good. That is well on your way to survival. And then you go into international bit, you come out with Fulham, Bournemouth. The reason I'm mentioning Sunderland, though, is because of that African Cup of Nations. They're going to lose quite a few key players. So that's going to be tricky for them. Now, a lot of teams will lose important players. It's not just them. My team will lose important players. Wan-Bissaka and Diouf, our 2 fullbacks, will be off to that tournament. So a lot of teams will suffer. I think Sunderland may suffer more than most. That's why it's important they get points on the board now. And to some extent, I think where they are now, they're looking like they're going to be all right. I think Sunderland may drop down the table a little bit, but I don't see them maybe ever entering the bottom 3 all season. And I think that would be a huge success for them. So in terms of the relegation battle, at this point, it's incredibly difficult to predict. I'm not even going to ask you to make predictions. You can if you want, but certainly give your opinion on the teams involved in the bottom 3. Because I think one thing I feel confident on is that we're going to have a relegation battle this season. As I mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised if someone got relegated on goal difference. I think that's how tight it could potentially be. And I think the January transfer window is going to play a huge part, because the teams in and around the bottom 3, I don't think any of them will go into January and go, let's not do business. I expect the opposite. I expect every team around the bottom part of the table to go, we've got to spend money to get out of this, because we're all spending money. I think Leeds have shown they've got a little bit of leftover lolly in the bank, so I expect them to spend. Brentford might be the team that perhaps doesn't, because of the way the model is. I think we will. I think Nottingham Forest will. I think they might be the ones that throw cash at it. But here's the thing. I feel confident Nottingham Forest might change the manager before the January transfer window as well. January transfer window is going to be huge this year. I think seasons gone by, the teams in the bottom 3, as they approach it, perhaps decide not to spend too much because they're expecting to get relegated. They may be already preparing for relegation, and part of that preparation is don't spend money in January, or don't spend too much money in January. I don't think that's going to be the case this season. I think you'll find 6 teams in there thinking, we've got to spend money, we've got to get in a couple of players and get out of this because we can. And they'll believe they can, and they should. You should absolutely believe you can. Because if you can't, what's the point? You're just admitting defeat. We're in for a good relegation battle. I think we're in for a good, busy, expensive January transfer window for those involved. And the run of 4 fixtures for most teams are against each other. There's some big fixtures coming up in the next 4 round of Premier League fixtures between 2 international breaks. As a neutral, I'm really looking forward to it. Leeds will bring it on. I'm looking forward to these games. As a West Ham fan, I'm very nervous. And this is why when people say, you can't judge it, it's only 7 games in, I do wonder, who do you support? Because if you're a Villa fan, a Newcastle fan, of course you're going to say that. You're not involved, or you're not expected to be involved. But if you support one of the teams that's expected to be in the relegation zone, it's difficult to hear someone say, don't worry about it, it's only 7 games in. Well, I am worrying about it. And it doesn't really matter if it's 7 games in, because I thought this could happen, and it has happened. So my prediction, which is my team's going to be in a relegation battle, is coming true after 7 games. And now you're going to tell me not to worry, your prediction is still wrong. Well, it's correct so far. I think it's easy to tell someone whose team's involved in relegation battle not to worry. Just like it's probably easy for me if a Chelsea fan said, "Oh, I'm a bit worried about not getting top four." I think it's easy for me to say, "Don't worry, I think you'll be all right." I'm not involved. I'm not emotionally involved. I can't relate to it. Anyway, I want you guys to get involved in the comments below. Even if you don't support a team in the bottom part of the Premier League, get involved. Let me know your thoughts on certain teams, your team. Please, I enjoy it. I'll be back later on to catch up with you all in the comments. Thank you very much for joining me. If you've already subscribed to the channel, thank you. I appreciate you. If not, I'd appreciate it if you could. And please also do drop a like on the video as well by clicking the thumbs up button. And I'll catch you in a bit.